Good tidings and a hearty hello to everybody. Welcome to League Unlock. Eric and Mark here with you guys for a little bit of weekend recap action. We finally have LCK alongside European and North American action to get through, which means it is jam-packed with content. And we got to start in North America because it is the most fun region for fun. And Cloud9 continues to be the only team out of the 10 that look good.
Hey, starting with Cloud9 is a good start to this show here, and it's kind of the only good start that we've really seen in North America so far. Yes, there's been a couple teams figure things out as we've gotten into this one, but right now, absolutely, Cloud9 are the front runners all the way across the board. The performances have been fantastic from this squad. You are getting everything that you could have wanted here, and especially this year after you made, the roster changes that you did heading into this year and the preparations and going to the boot camp in Korea. What I've loved to see from this team right out of the get-go has been the continuation of what we've known about Blabber for some time now. Is, when he's not on his game, he's not a very good jungler here. But when he's at the top, he is easily one of, if not the best jungler that we have here in North America. And the aggression that he plays with and the decisions that he is making, right now you have a Cloud9 roster that is backing him up at every single opportunity, and they are snowballing those advantages big time into victories.
You knew the potential of Blabber and Niski starting alongside each other, game in and game out, developing that synergy, which they already had to some extent. Didn't think it would happen this quickly, that they would look so great. That was what you just saw, was Sven's first death. Dignitas did it. They lost the game, but they got a kill onto Sven.
It cost them everything, man.
It cost them 3 kills and the Dragon Soul, and the game right after that, so we'll call Worth on that.
And Worth.
72 KDA now for Sven. A couple other stats for him. He's got the highest gold per minute in the league. 13 CSD at 15 is the most among AD carries. 75.8 kill participation is second, and Cloud9 is yet to lose a Baron.
Hey, we talked about this last year when he was with Team Solo Mid about his, adjustment to North America, and we thought that yes, we're starting to see more of that OG Neil's level of production, and then we had an unfortunate Ezreal incident at the spring finals, and things downwards from there. But we have seen quite the rebound, and of course, is easily the best player in North America right now, and the stats back it up.
And it helps that he gets to play Aphelios 4 out of the 6 games. He's only played 2 champions through these 6 games, 4 on Aphelios and 2 on Senna.
Oh, they're not broken.
Please permaban Aphelios in 10.3. When Akali gets nerfed, it should free up another ban for teams. Get Aphelios off the Rift. Cloud9's far and away the best looking team in North America, but TSM is on the up and up after what was a pretty terrible week 1. Now they've rallied off 4 wins in a row. They looked even better in week 3 than week 2 because they're actually playing aggressively.
They're playing great, and one of the big things that we talked about, not wanting to give too much to it and why they struggled before, but remember, Bjergsen was quite sick to start off the year, and I will say, within the last 2 weeks, we certainly have seen that rebound back to the level of play that you can expect from Bjergsen and expect from the mid lane of Team Solo Mid. But specifically this week, what kind of got online, and I really love to see, is that top and jungle synergy. We had started to see that last year around, towards the spring playoffs with Broken Blade and Acadian, and I think you're seeing Dardoch and Broken Blade figure it out now here for this TSM squad. They are really starting to look dangerous here, putting together this 4-0.
Yeah, the flanks from Broken Blade were absolutely insane in both games this weekend, helped basically completely change the tide of these team fights. Bjergsen didn't die this week, 6-0 and 14, 3 solo kills for Broken Blade, and right now TSM, with a lot of the other teams struggling behind Cloud9, probably look like the second best in the league.
And as much as I love my boy Mythy and I love Smoothie and think he's a great support, I will say Biofrost has absolutely looked like the best TSM support since Biofrost has been on that roster here and has helped really solidify that position.
And the main contenders behind TSM, or in front of them before, were FlyQuest and Dignitas. They were looking great at the top of the standings. FlyQuest had a great win against Dig. Froggen finally has a team. We come into week 3, they combine to go 0-4.
Oof, it was not a pretty week for these two squads here, and especially given that, yes, you had seen signs that could lead you to think that these teams were progressing and that you could continue to see that level going forward. And again, there are very different issues here for both of these two squads, and you know what? I don't know if there's going to be an immediate fix here in the future for both of them. I still am of the idea that, yes, these are going to be squads that can contend here for that playoff positioning and hopefully can give us, any type of real challenge from these kind of 5-6 position is what you're hoping for, I think, when you're looking at these squads right now, is my early read.
And they both played Cloud9, so it's a tough schedule. Dig loses to TSM as well. Okay, that's forgivable. This EG loss for FlyQuest, though, this is the one that stands out as FlyQuest, you were supposed to be a legitimate threat for a top 3 finish. You can't drop a game like this.
No, and especially with the strength that we had seen from them as far as adding Ignar and Power of Evil to this roster and that synergy that they had and the engages that they were making, not existent this week. And you saw that the results weren't there as well for FlyQuest.
Minus 3,044 gold differential this week against Cloud9 and EG. And Cloud9 is destroying everybody, but that EG one, unforgivable. Both of them now definitely take a big step back to a tier below maybe those top 3 contenders heading towards playoffs. And week 3 is still not even done in the LCS. We got the Monday Nighters, which actually both matches have some pretty big implications here. Immortals going up against CLG have a chance to be in second place, tied with TSM, and they have that tiebreaker right now. They could be in second, which is something I never dreamed of saying after 3 weeks.
No, I don't know if there's almost anyone here. Hey, put your hands up if you were the ones doing that, and if you got your hand up right now, you're a liar. You're a liar. There's no way you had Immortals. Unless your name is Zabutin, you did not have the Immortals getting off to any start close to this one here. Have been impressed with what they've been able to put together here. I still have a lot of questions for Ica as a mid laner here in the LCS. I think that you're going to run into some issues as you go further on into the season. But for now, good start here for this Immortals squad. And you know what? The big thing I really want to give props to is that bottom lane here for Immortals. I think Hako and Altec have really provided a good deal of value here for the squad, and much more so than I think myself and others were giving credit here for them putting together that bot lane in the offseason.
39.2% kill share is the highest among all AD carries for Altec in that bottom lane. The other matchup that you saw, Team Liquid going up against Golden Guardians, and Team Liquid lost that game to 100 Thieves, even with a Baron steal. They're now at 2-3. If they somehow, and that's a big if, lose to Golden Guardians, they are at 2-4, sitting outside of a playoff spot, but thankfully, Brox is coming to NA.
Brox is coming to NA. Today is his last stream here over in EU, and he's making his
Next week he should be playing.
Next week we expect him on the Team Liquid roster, but not for tonight with Monday Night League. This one is a crucial game here for Team Liquid to help steady things before his arrival.
And don't panic for Team Liquid. Even if they slump into playoffs as a 6th seed, they're probably going to be favorites to make a deep run. So you know they're going to make playoffs. The regular season, not as big of an implication. Coming up after the break, time for some EU action. And Fnatic not quite up to the test yet of taking down G2 eSports. Beautiful people, we have returned to League Unlock. Eric and Mark here with you guys, recapping the action that was in Europe, and there's nowhere else to start than the match of the week, the match of the year, the 2 matches of the year, G2 versus Fnatic. It's always what everybody is waiting for. Origin were not up to the challenge of G2. Rogue was not up to the challenge of G2. It all fell on Fnatic, and as it turns out, they're not quite up to the challenge of G2.
Let's just take a moment here to say that this is a milestone here for the LEC, this type of matchup here, the hype that is around this type of event here for a single regular season type of game is something awesome to see in League. Had over 200,000 on the Twitch channel, over 150,000 on the YouTube.
Hit him, Whippo!
We had a lot of viewers watching this one, and you had a lot of viewers seeing quite a game here is the way that I can put this one here, because no matter how many advantages G2 was able to pick up, you always felt that there was maybe one team fight, one little thing going the other way here for Fnatic that would turn the tables, and there certainly were quite a lot of mistakes in this one here from both sides that they were taking advantage of here. But this was absolutely the highlight of the week for me. Such an awesome match.
Yeah, it was a 1.4K gold lead for G2 at 15 minutes. It looked to be snowballing out of control, and they continued to have at least a lead that big, but Absolutely. Some of these fights were still so close, and Fnatic, whenever you have Nemesis on Vigar, I swear it's only that pick. It feels like they're never out of any game, regardless of the deficit. So even though it looks a little bit more lopsided on paper, 25-9 in kills, almost a 13k gold lead, the game was a little bit closer than the scoreline would dictate.
Oh, you know what? When I came into this matchup here, we had been talking about, why I was picking G2 to win this one, but I said, you know what? Keep an eye out here for the rematch. I feel like Nemesis is going to get better here, learning his matchup against what it's like to play against Perks. He was okay. So I've got a lot of faith here in that rematch here. Things turning around here for Fnatic, but right now it is G2 coming away with that victory in that all-important head-to-head matchup.
And you shouldn't be overly concerned whatsoever if you're a fan of Fnatic. Still looking like they're the second best team in EU, and still somewhat confident they can go toe-to-toe with G2 in a best-of series like we saw in 2019 summer. But that was the end of the craziness of the weekend in Europe, because it looked like all these favorites on paper would be fine until Misfits start rolling in, and all of a sudden they've now won 4 games in a row after almost everybody memed on them, us included, for they're going to be the 10th place team. They're going to be no good. It's just a repeat, forgettable year for them. But they look like a legitimate playoff team right now. They got a huge win against Origin, and to be honest, they kind of smashed them.
Hey, man, this is shout outs to Amazing, because the job that is going on here for Misfits, getting things going, it is amazing the way that they have turned this one around.
They lose a bear and it gets stolen by the Aphelios, and you think, oh, they blew it. They had a chance. All right, good try, Misfits.
They were just waiting for that team fight, baby.
And then they come back and still win. Febiven looks like it's 2015 all over again. And these rookies, Razork, we were incredibly critical of on his Lee Sin performance because it looked pretty bad. But this Gragas in this matchup, he got player of the game. He was 5-2-5. He had some incredible engages. I can't believe how well they've bounced back.
He just needed some thickness on him, man. That was the difference here. No vision.
Needed the belly.
The vision, that was the issue. Lee Sin was blind, man. You needed the big barrel and the big belly of Gragas here to help him out. And Misfits, boy, they've been feeling that help because, yes, Razork's performance has been a huge upgrade over the previous weeks that we had been seeing from him. And again, I do want to keep giving the shout-outs here to Dan and Febiven because they have really, over the past 2-3 weeks, shown a great deal of skill, and it has certainly been a big reason why Misfits are turning it around.
And it puts a pretty sizable halt on the Origin hype train, dropping this game to Misfits. And then you had Rogue also losing to Mad Lions. Rogue had a very rough week, 0-2, going up against G2. I mean, that's the forgivable one, but Mad Lions, I mean, kudos to them. They've looked great as well, now sitting right up there with Misfits at 4-2. But Rogue in this game, you had a 3.6k gold lead at one point, and you had the gold lead until 32 minutes, and then it was just, to be honest, Larsen's far and away worst performance of the season.
It was not pretty. It was not okay here from this Rogue squad, and especially given what they could have been doing here in these games and what you thought here with the advantages that they had, that this is just throwing away victories here. And hey, if you're Rogue, yes, we've been giving you a lot of props here for, kind of etching into that kind of second tier of teams here towards the top of the LEC. But you know what? It's not going to matter if you're throwing away games like this, because you are going to find yourself falling down that ladder. And you know what? I don't feel all that confident given these type of performances, expecting you to go up against the very top tier right away in the playoffs.
You had Hansama on his Draven pick. You had him cash in, I think it was 700 and something gold on his first one. He was getting ahead. He was one of the main reasons for their big gold lead, but you never really saw him able to auto-attack that much in a lot of these fights, because it was either one of the three of Larsen, Finn, or Inspired getting caught out before these fights even started.
And a lot of these fights were, why are you fighting in the very first place? There were no objectives here for Rogue to get. And again, Rogue was the one in the driver's seat. They were the one with the gold advantage, with the item advantages at these points in times. You should not be the ones forcing these fights and throwing away your advantages here. It was just a very disappointing weekend overall for Rogue.
And this is an example of this team has still not even really played together a full year, even without Hansama. The other four, it all came together towards summer, or the start of the summer split. So they're still figuring things out. It's still a relatively young roster, and you're kind of seeing those growing pains unfold in the regular season. Growing pains are for Rogue. I don't know what kind of pains are for Schalke and Vitality. Both 0-6. I thought they both might get a win this week, but it was not meant to be. And their numbers so far have been incredibly similar. 0.44 kill death as a team for Vitality, 0.45 for Schalke, and the goal deficits at 15, minus 1,115 for Schalke, and 1,262 for Vitality.
The really unfortunate thing is when you look at both of Vitality and Schalke, you kind of look to the top side, and I know top isn't the most important role right now in the way things have played out. I mean, other than Soraka being up there.
Soraka and Ornn.
Ugh, gross. I don't want to talk about that. But when you're talking about Ottawande and Kavashard, when you're thinking about the disappointments that have been Vitality and Schalke, I feel like their performances have to be excluded. They have been trying their very best to turn this around. And yes, if you do have that 0-6 record, it's a full team effort to be that poor here at this point. But I do want to shout out and say that they are trying to pull their weight here on these sinking ships, and those ships are sinking. I'll tell you that one, and only one of them is going to not sink a little bit more when they get their matchup against each other.
Week 5, we're waiting for that. We have one more week of them to see if either squad can pick up a win before the match of the week. And if they're both 0-8 heading into week 5 and the LEC doesn't do a teaser for them, I will be incredibly disappointed.
That's the LEC. They got good content.
They do have good content. LCS just doesn't have content. No hype up video for spring. Doesn't even exist. So take a page out of the LEC's book. But that's just the same thing that happened in 2019. Coming up after the break, the first week of action in the LCK and the rookies on Dragon X. The big question marks absolutely delivered in their debut. Ladies and gentlemen, we have returned to League Unlock. Eric and Mark hanging out with you guys. LCK action to recap. It is a new year, new action in Korea. And Dragon X had a lot of question marks with all the rookies coming in. But Pyosik and Korea both absolutely delivered in week 1. They already both were picking up a couple of Player of the Game awards. A 2-0 start for Dragon X, even with Chovy playing top lane in that first series. But Pyosik in particular stepped up and looks like he can be a top 4 jungler this year.
A lot of things are changing in the world, but it's nice to rely upon the branding here of Longzhu, Kingzone, or Dragon X. Whatever it wants to be, you're going to get high-level League of Legends play in the LCK from them, and that's what you've been getting from this DRX squad. And yes, you said it, Pyosik is absolutely delivering fantastic performances from someone that is so inexperienced like him at this pro stage, and especially considering some of the squads that he's gone up against and the other junglers he's had to go up against here and what we have seen from them. I have really liked the performance from this young guy so far.
And this is the best roster Def's been on since KT Rolster, looking like, at least potential-wise, because he didn't really have to do that much in either of their series wins, really. We're so accustomed to seeing Deft be on the right end of highlight reel plays, and he didn't really have to. This hook from Death from Korea on that Thresh was absolutely insane. Game winning on Leo to take down Sandbox, and the theme was kind of the first game in series, Dragon X not looking that great, and then absolutely bouncing back in those second and third clinching games to their 2-0. They look like a top-tier team, as we expected.
Yeah, and it's really nice, again, nice to see this one for Deft. We've been wanting something positive to come out of this situation with the new ownership here coming towards Kingzone Dragon X and getting this and bringing this team together for him. Man, it is a feel-good situation.
And it feels good for Afreeca because they also started 2-0, and it makes it look like them winning Kespa Cup wasn't just, okay, well, you were the best at that tournament, sure, or on that day. They actually look really solid, and the most interesting thing, for me at least, is they seem to have the craziest pick ban out of any of the Korean teams, with Spirit coming in. He's playing Karthus jungle. That's fine. Fly is going to be playing Pantheon, and Keen, whenever he wants, is playing Lucian top. I think they might have the most flexibility when it comes to draft.
And even more important to me is down in the bottom side when you talk about Jelly alongside Mystic, or if it's going to be SS. I don't care who it is.
Better be Mystic every game, man.
Personally, I hope it's Mystic, but I don't care what the ADC is, because when you're putting him alongside Jelly and Afreeca Freaks, as you said, picking some things that are maybe a little bit different towards the other teams here. That's what I want to be talking about. Jelly and Afreeca Freaks are the squad that's rolling with, seems to be more than the other teams, more willing to try mage supports, things like a Rumble down in the bottom lane. And I'm telling you right now, that damage and that scaling that these mage supports can do into what seems to be a meta that wants to play a lot of tanks, it is a feel-good situation for me, man, when you got a squad like Afreeca that is willing to change things up.
They always seem to be the best when Spirit is in the jungle, so keep him in there. The other squad that went 2-0, and in probably the most convincing fashion, was Gen.G, and they did it in kind of an old-school LCK style. Some of the games that they were playing, man, were they slow-paced, just starving the opposition out, which is why LS was kind of swooning over some of their games. For all the hype that this roster has with BDD and Clid coming in, they look good. They had the second fastest game time of the week. First fastest, of course, went to APK Prince for losing their matches, but Gen.G looks pretty good across the board.
Hey, people were hoping for the big cojones plays from Gen.G, but no, you got the big brain.
Slow and slow, baby.
The big time galaxy brain coming through here for this Gen.G squad. That is the way they played this one, taking things away from the other team here by manipulating waves, freezing, things like that, oh man, I thought freezing would have been illegal in the LCK in previous years. Not anymore. We're seeing it happen here with this top-level Gen.G team, and it is a real treat to watch.
And all of a sudden, Ruler is going to be drawing Callista bans where no other team is playing this pick right now. Ruler is just so comfortable at dominating team fights on that champion, and the safety of her ult for a support is still something that seems to be underrated somehow. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that draw bans going forward for Gen.G. But really, across the board, the only surprise is that Kellen is playing all these games over life, but he's looked pretty good.
Kellen has fit the bill here, and that is, again, one thing. Yes, I am a little bit surprised to see that one. I don't know if this is something that we're going to see continue moving forward through this year, but absolutely, the performance has been there completely from the bottom lane.
And one of the squads not at 2-0 that maybe you could have thought performed better is Damwon Gaming. They lose to T1, and they struggle a lot more than they should have against APK Prince, but we have to shout out the Saturday game, the ending that Nuggery had on that Rise to close that game out. By the way, a game that Damwon was losing and down in gold even when they took down the Nexus, but these are just the incredibly high highs that you get out of Nuggery, and sometimes it's not even borderline inting. He is inting, but sometimes he looks like the best top laner on the planet.
Sometimes he makes it look like the entirety of the other team are the ones that are inting and need to be reported here. This is a real treat, this little play here. And this is what I talk about when you talk about Nuggery and what you love about him, is that he's absolutely fearless. He's one of those guys that says, look, this play fails 95% of the time, and the 5% of the time that it succeeds, you have to have absolutely perfect mechanics and decision making, and he has it there in spades, makes this work here. Said, why did you take the attack speed Rise? I didn't like the laning phase. Well, it turns out it didn't matter about the laning phase. You needed it here to wipe the team and take out the Nexus at the same time. That's a lot of attacking. That's a lot of courage to do a move like that, especially when your team isn't in the winning position at the time. That's what we love to see from Nuggery.
He was so happy. You never see him smile that much after that game. He knows that that was an impressive play. The Realm Warp to just move over a little bit, and the fact that he's killing APK Prince members while he's weaving in auto attacks onto the Nexus. Absolutely disgusting play, and you would be tilted off the face of the earth if you are APK Prince and you lose that game. All that to be said, Damwon actually didn't look that great in week 1.
No, I need to see some improvements from the rest of the squad there, and yes, Nuggery included, sometimes playing a little bit too much of that confidence that we love from him. Yes, it's that double-edged sword.
He's got 3 MVPs or Player of the Games to his name, tied with Mark's boy Faker after week 1. That is all the time today for League Unlock. Eric and Mark here with you guys. Thanks for hanging out. We'll catch you on the flippity flop.